Good evening. Welcome to Air2Ground Farms Live. I'm Rich.
I'm Shelley.
We like to join you every Monday night and just chat about different things. So
Farm related, usually.
yeah,
This is
usually.
farm talk.
Okay.
We like
Farm things.
farm things. Well, sometimes we talk about kitchen things.
Yeah, true. We'll do a farm update for you, and then we promised to talk about our pastures and regenerating the pastures and timing on everything. And so we threw together a talk this evening about pastures and our approach and what we do to regenerate our pastures. So that'll be the main topic of discussion for the evening. But like always, man, we love the comments and engaging with you. So even if it's off topic, I'm very happy to chat about the things that are on your mind and that are important to you. So don't hesitate, please, to throw some comments in.
Absolutely. And before we get to the main topic, we love to give you guys a farm update. We have new piglets.
Oh, yes, pictures.
We had another litter of piglets on a pretty cold night. The sow had 8 piglets, I believe it was.
She had 8. She looked like she was going to have 16, y'all.
I know.
I think I was feeding her too much.
Yeah, I think she's a little bit. She's just a little portly.
She's like a hog.
Yeah. Anyway, she had 8 pretty little piglets. It was cold, but she had her nest built really, really well, and those babies did just great, and they're doing fine.
I want y'all to look at that. She was overeating, and those little piglets stayed right there, right in the nest that she made for them. They take that big bale of hay you can see in this other picture. That's a big round bale behind them, and the moms just pull the hay out of it, and they will, fluff it all up, and then they walk around and use their nose and pat it down, and they turn the hay like literally into a nest.
Yeah, they nest.
And that mama, she's probably, she's somewhere between 450 and 500 pounds. I mean, she's a big girl. And those piglets come out weighing like 2 pounds or something. And she did a really good job. We went out there with that group. There were none stillborn. She hasn't laid on any yet. They're 3-4 days old now. And
I wouldn't say they're all the way out of the woods, but they're pretty far out.
No, they're not all the way out of the woods.
They made it this far, especially in this cold weather, that they're going to be, I think they're pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the other piglets that we've talked to you about before, this week is weaning week. So we're going to, sometime within the next week, we're going to be weaning them. So 3 sows worth of piglets will be weaned. We've got 6 going. We're selling them as feeder pigs to somebody else that's wanting to raise out some Berkshires to make pork. 3 of them are going to a gentleman who's wanting to breed Berkshires. So they're going to go be breeders. 9 are sold. That leaves us about 10, 11, 12, something like that we will then keep as feeders here on our farm.
Yeah. It's a good little amount right now.
Yeah. So,
that's perfect.
The 8 that were just born are not spoken for yet.
A couple of them are.
Oh, that's right. 2 of them are, aren't they? Mm-hmm. So that leaves 6. So if we add 6 more to our feeder group, that's okay. And then we've got 1 sow. I don't know. She still doesn't even look pregnant to me. She may not have taken this cycle, which is fine.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, she'll take next time. She's a good mama.
Yeah.
I think
these girls,
maybe just didn't have enough time.
As we wean the piglets, then the 3 sows whose piglets were just weaned and the 4th sow who doesn't even look bred, they're going to move out of the pen and go over back with Tex, the big boar, and breed them again. Get ready for spring.
Yeah. Artie, our milk cow, our Jersey, who is still expecting, but boy, tick-tock, it's getting closer and closer. Rebecca sent a picture earlier, and her hind end is getting all prepared. It gets very loose and puffy and starts, kind of getting a little gooey back there. And her milk is her udders are Her udders are starting to fill up, and she's pretty calm. She's pretty chill.
Yeah, she's getting motherly though.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I walked right up to her in the pasture yesterday, which you can with her, and just checked her out and looked at her udders and rubbed all over her, and she was happy to let me do that. So, gotta love a dairy cow in the field that'll let you go out and just get a nice little pet, in the middle of the day.
Yeah, Jerseys are cool.
They are. Anything else on the farm?
Yeah, we made some big beef cow changes this week.
Yeah, we did. We told you guys last week that we were, talking about doing some projects, but we weren't going to say them because then if they didn't get done, then we've just said words that didn't matter. So we decided for the first time to do some actual weaning and separating the young calves and young group from the breeding herd. So now our beef cows are very much like our pigs, our hogs, where we have our breeders and our feeders. And so you and Huck mostly, put up a new hot wire fence to keep them in and corralled. And we have them on I'm thinking is it 3 acres?
Yeah, 3 to 4, something like that.
Yeah. Area where we will winter them. And they are not, they balled pretty good, especially the younger ones being separated from their moms. But each day it's getting less and less. We have the moms up on 8 acres way away from them as far as we could get them. And the little ones are somewhere where we drive by every single day, so we can multiple times so that we can see them and make sure that they are doing well. And they're actually camping out with the sheep. So we have our little miniature flurd, our flock herd, sheep and cows running together.
Yeah. And we decided to do that. We're trying to up our beef production game a little bit. We love having the cows, and until this point, it's just been,
A natural herd.
A natural herd. We love the cows. We go hang out with them, and whatever they produce is what they produce. And we're wanting the moms. I think of the 12, 13 moms, 12 moms that we have, we had been averaging about a quarter of them would be open each year, and the steers that were growing out were just growing out a little slowly. So I think that this change, this sort of shift in mentality, is going to up our beef production. And that's really what we're looking for.
Yeah, we will get more calves, taking the pressure off the moms, getting the calves out of there, forcing the weaning, and ensuring that they are healthy, not, kind of condition brought down too much, and breed back sooner. Yeah. So that way we will they breed, but we want them to breed back much sooner. And we want to take the pressure off them as, kind of as soon as we can at that 6 to 8 month point. So now we will be able to give specific attention to the feeder group, making sure that they have all of the protein and all of the best quality hay that we can give them as cows, and where the mamas don't necessarily need, or the bull need, that level, because we don't need them to grow super fast, obviously.
And they won't be competing with each other.
Right.
So the smallest calves, and we'll talk about how we unroll hay and some of the benefits there, but the smallest calves sometimes get pushed around, and they don't always get as much nutrition as maybe they could. So we're going to try it. Yep. We hope that it works out, and if it doesn't, we'll be flexible and put everything.
It's added another thing.
Yeah.
Anytime you divide animal groups, you get more stops in your rounds. You have more, where are you going to put them? How are they getting water? What are you going to feed them? When? Now you have 2 hay places that you've got to visit. So it does kind of double the work in the beef department. It absolutely doubles the work in the beef department. It does,
but that's why we put the sheep in with them.
Right. So at least
we took a sheep stop off of the rounds, added a cow stop. So, it sort of works itself out.
Yeah. So far, so good. Only 2 got out the first night, but we had the gates closed to the paddock, and they stayed where they were mostly supposed to be.
Yeah.
And just kind of walked them back to where we wanted them. So not too big of an issue. And like I said, the bawling and hollering back and forth across the farm, it's a little unsettling for the farmers, but give it 4 or 5 days. I think we're on day what?
I think this was 5.
Well, it's slowing down. It's getting better. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Let's see.
Let's
who
get
we
to
got.
some comments. Who's here tonight?
So Judy Lang says, loving your cooking videos too, Shelley.
Oh, thank you.
You both are full of lots of info and knowledge.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying them. More coming.
Yeah. Mary says, good evening. Yes, to Judy. Enjoy the cooking videos.
Awesome.
And then she says, and the menagerie in the kitchen, almost like here.
Oh my goodness. Yes. The first time he edited one of those, every animal I think that we have in the house was in the video.
Well, the first one, the Aussies weren't in. So it looks like we've added even more.
There's just a bunch. It's just too many. And yes, they're often in the videos. And, I'm not going to lock them all up. It's just our house. And it's about as real as as it is. And, when the cats saunter by and the hound dog decides to do whatever he's doing.
Phil says, happy Monday. It's hard to believe another week has flown by.
No kidding.
Seriously. And then Becca says, happy Monday from the top of the hill. Artie is looking even closer today.
Yes.
Yes, she is.
We will be having a new baby probably before we talk to you guys again, for sure.
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get some pics.
Yeah.
Carol, I want chickens, says hello from PA. It's a chilly one tonight.
I bet it is up there. I bet. Watching some football being played in the north with them snow. Oh my God. Y'all cold. It's cold.
Anna says hello from Lakeland.
Hey there. Glad you're here.
Yeah. And it's 66 now, going down to 60.
You guys just have really pleasant, mild
Isn't it?
falls and winters down there. It's wonderful.
Your mom says, hey, y'all, from Mom, Dad, and Bella. They got a new dog this week.
That's right.
Looking forward to seeing your smiling faces.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Farmhand Huck says, hi, folks. Angels Homestead says, hey, from Clinton, Oklahoma.
Good evening.
Firefox Kitty checking in with greetings from Arizona. Temperatures in the 70s this week.
No doubt. Wow.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Anna says, I was amazed when Chuck at Sheridan Park Farms just bought 2 female piglets to get back into breeding their own pigs. Chuck counted the teats. He was happy to count 15 on one, 16 on the other.
Yeah, that's important. How many teats they have, how many piglets can they support? That's a big deal. And I'm surprised to hear that they're getting back into pigs. We'll have to go over to their channel soon and go see what's going on. We haven't checked in with them for a while.
We watched them when they sold their pigs and got out of breeding pigs. And then I saw his thumbnail and I mentioned to you, I'm like, I bet he's getting back into pigs.
Yeah, you did. That's right. Well, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Carrie Hatz says, hi from Arizona. Shelley, can't wait to try your French toast eggs this weekend.
Oh, they're so good. I hope you enjoy them.
Really good.
Yeah, they're really good.
We had them again.
They hit the spot for me.
Yeah. Jeannie Kinlan saying, good evening from Tecumseh, Nebraska. Looking for possible aurora borealis lights tonight, but it's cloudy.
Oh, I didn't know what that was happening again. It's been happening a lot more often.
Yeah, it got quite a few solar flares.
flares.
Patty Irwin says, hi, guys.
Good evening to you.
Carol says, how often do you breed your pigs each year?
Roughly twice.
You can, if you time everything perfectly, you can get 3 breedings a year out of your pigs. We don't. We let the sows have a bit of a break in between each breeding. So we breed them such that we're having piglets spring, fall really is what we're looking for. Avoid the hottest hot of the summer and the coldest cold of the winter. And we give the sows a break between breedings. And similarly to the sheep, we breed our sheep once a year. And with sheep, some people, again, perfect timing, get 2 a year out of their sheep. A lot of guys say they will get 3 breedings every 2 years, but we do 1 breeding a year with the sheep. And we just feel like it gives the moms a break, and you
And
have
us. I don't
and
want
us
to do
a
that
break.
twice a year.
You have healthier breeders that way.
Yeah.
So that's sort of
And
why.
and temperature. The
Yeah.
temperature outside is really crucial. We don't have barns and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
most of the people that do like intensive sheep
Yeah, they've
breeding
got
have got barns,
barn
and then
indoors
the
for them.
hogs also, the guys that are trying to get 3 a year, they typically have facilities where they breed them.
And ours are outside. So
Yeah.
we try to do it when the weather is good for babies.
Yeah. Xana says hi from Texas.
Hey there. Oh, yeah.
Patty Irwin says dogs in the kitchen were so cute.
Oh, I'm glad.
I'm glad I didn't. Y'all, the first one, I looked, Shelley recorded it and then I edited the video later. I was looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to edit all of this out and zoom in? And I'm like, you know what?
It's our house.
It's our house.
It's our life.
Forget about it.
It's fine.
I'm just going to
leave
show
them in. Don't edit
I'm
them
going to
out.
show the animals and leave them in. And
Yeah.
then I thought it looked cute. And I'm like, well, maybe other people.
I'm
think
glad y'all
it's-
did. Thank you
it's
for letting
fun.
us
Yeah.
know that.
Sandra insisted on getting the pigs. Oh, back to
To Sheridan Park.
Sheridan Park
Okay.
Farms.
Yeah.
the upgrades to the former owner's cattle shelter included a water line. I don't know if they're calling it a pig palace now, but it has been converted.
Okay.
Oh, good.
All right,
We'll,
good.
We'll definitely
We'll check it out.
We like hanging out with Chuck and Sonda sometimes.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So that pretty much
Sorry,
covers.
Sandra.
Yeah, Sandra. That pretty much covers the farm update and what we have going on. We were asked by one of you guys some weeks ago about we do regenerative style farming and rotational grazing, unrolling hay, and all of the things that we do to the actual land, and asked how we do it, what we've seen over the years, how long it took. So we thought good topic for tonight for rotational grazing and how we manage our pastures.
So I think the specific question was, how long does it take before you start to see the impacts? And I want to answer that because I think we'll get talking and forget to answer that
Okay.
directly. So we started seeing improvement through one cycle. So if you like one weather cycle, one season, one full weather cycle, so a year, I would say after 1 year, we saw improvements. And each year we've been doing this, we're going on year 5 now. Each year we've been doing this, we have continued to see improvements year over year.
Now, some of you who don't farm, I'm looking at you, Carol. The rotational grazing just means move your animals around. Conventional grazing is when let's just talk cows. Cattle ranchers will put their animals out on a pasture, give them plenty of space to where they know that they have enough food, and they leave them there. And in the winter, they will bring them in. They'll put them in what they call a sacrifice pasture or a sacrifice lot. They will feed them hay in one small area, while in spring, all of the grass will start growing, and then they put the cows back out in that pasture. That would be called conventional grazing. You just put them out there, give them enough space, and the grass grows. But it doesn't ever have time to really recover and really gain biodiversity in the soil when you just leave them out there stripping the grass of its energy day after day after day out of the roots. So what rotational grazing offers is basically mimicking what happens in the wild. When the buffalo would roam through the plains of the United States, when they were doing that, they didn't just stay in, Nebraska the whole time, right? They moved on. They were like, well, Oklahoma's kind of cool too. And they would go on, and graze somewhere else.
The Dakotas are nice.
The Dakotas are nice. And so they moved around the entire nation as a herd of multiple millions. And in doing so, we got some of the most fertile lands on the planet because of them and the way that they migrated and moved around, impacting the soil, adding their pee and their poop and their hoof prints and eating just enough. And they would say, there's not enough here anymore. We need to move on. But whenever you put up fences and you put cows inside those fences, they can't roam. They're there. And so our fencing actually caused our ranching style to begin to degrade the soil. And with the degradation of the grasses and the soils, we just don't have as much to offer them. But if we take some tools and technology and we mimic what was happening with the buffalo, we mimic nature by moving them around the properties in a timely type manner, we can actually make the property more productive. If that makes sense. That
Yep.
just a really quick, this is what we're talking about.
So the simple thing is move the animals before the grass gets too short.
Yep.
Like that's a simple, like what at the bottom line, brass tacks, what is rotational grazing? You're really watching the grass. Move the animals, let them eat, and then move them on. Let the grass recover. Is the biggest thing. That
Yep.
recovery time is very, very important. The roots of the way grass works, you can pretty much watch how the length of grass and determine the length of the roots. So how tall the grass is how deep the roots are going to be. And then as the cows rip the tops of the grass off, the very tips, the bottoms of the roots die also. And it's actually that whole process that helps make the ground fertile. So those dying roots then release nutrients into the soil. As the grass grows higher, the roots grow deeper back down into that newly released nutrients, and the cycle then continues. So it's very important to allow that the grass that regrowth cycle so that you're really getting the nutrients in, to form there in the soil. If all you do is keep taking more and more and more of the grass off, you never get that regrowth back down. So I think that's probably the most important thing.
Don't let them take too much.
Yeah.
And keep them keep them moving.
Yep.
Really is the name of the game. Most of all, move them.
Yeah.
Even it's an art. Yes, ag is a science, but rotational grazing is an art, and it's really based on your specific property. Our property is going to behave much different than somebody in South Florida.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right? Because if you're in South Florida or let's just stick down there because they do get usually quite a bit of rain, and your grass is going to grow back at a different rate than it will here.
Yep.
Based on soil and sunlight and rain and year-round grazing and all that.
And like in nature, before fences, before farmers and ranchers and such, the predators would keep the herds moving. Mm-hmm. The American Indians kept the herds moving. The predators kept the herds moving. So they, not only did they eat and move just naturally, like they were being moved also. So like there was pressure there that kept them on the move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so we use electric fencing as that pressure.
That's right.
The electric fence and the farmer, although they trust us, we act as the predator.
That's right.
By moving them with the electric fences, which are temporary.
Yep.
Okay.
I think one of the big learning points for us so far has been to move the animals based on the grass, not on the calendar. Like you set up a grazing calendar, like we want them in this pasture and break that pasture down into different paddocks and how long they're going to stay in each one. And for me, very type A, used to a fighter squadron scheduling board, like you show up exactly when you show up. And, my initial, my initial response to grazing was it's not time to move them because the calendar doesn't say it's time to move yet. And you really have to watch the grass. And, if they're supposed to move tomorrow, but the grass is too short today, then they move today. Mm-hmm. And if they're supposed to move tomorrow, but there's still a whole bunch of grass, well, let them eat a little bit longer and maybe move them the next day.
Right. But we're out there multiple times a day, at least once a day, looking and seeing what do they need to do. The thing about this type of of regenerative farming is it is high maintenance. It is. And because we're acting as the predator and we're acting as the stewards of the grass and of the dirt and of the cows, it's our responsibility to see to it that all are taken care of equally, basically, because if we don't take care of the dirt and the grass, it can't support the cows if and when it rains.
Right.
We're always dependent on rain. So that said, we graze about 6 to 8 months out of the year,
depending on the rain.
The rain, and then the rest of the year, we probably are supplementing with hay or have them on a specific piece of land and using hay to feed them there. And we have a comment just up 3. Do you keep going right there? Anna asks, do you have a winter sacrifice pasture where you feed them hay? The answer is no. But what we do is, with how we feed hay and the tools that we use, we are actually, instead of sacrificing the pasture, we're actually regenerating the pasture.
Every year we pick a pasture and we say, okay, it's going to be this one this year.
Will Harris calls it a hay bomb.
And we turn that pasture into what looks like a mess.
Right.
By the end of winter, it is covered, like the whole thing will have hay remnants and cow poop everywhere. Like the whole thing just looks brown with black spots.
It does.
Like all of it. And the first time, the first winter, actually, we just moved them all over the whole farm.
Yep.
And because we're like, I don't know. And then come spring, what we noticed was everywhere that we unrolled hay, it looked better. The pasture was better. And we're like, would you look at that?
Yeah, I'll be darned.
So then the next winter, we're like, why don't we just pick a couple of pastures and, we'll move them a couple of times throughout the winter. And then spring, those
really hit it intensively with all the carbon from the hay, seed that comes off of the hay, and all of their pee and poop, and really hit it with all the biology that we can, and carbon matter that's going to build the soil up over time.
And then spring after that year, those pastures looked better than the rest of them.
Yeah.
So then the past 2 years, we have picked a pasture, a specific pasture, and said, we're going to hit this one hard. So what we'll do is we have 9 different pastures. 2 of them are on the other side of our wet weather creek, and we will not winter them over there because it floods oftentimes during the cold months, and we can't get across it. So we don't want to trap them over there where we can't get to them. Yeah. We have to be able to cross that creek when they're over there.
Right.
So that leaves us, 6, 7 pastures on this side of the creek that we can choose from. And so this will be the 3rd year now where we've picked a specific pasture and said, we're going to regenerate this pasture this year. And wow, does it make a difference?
It really
and
does.
We'll get to some pictures here in a minute.
So the first picture I think we should get to is the one, what the property looked like when we first moved on here. And many of you have seen it before because we talked about when we moved here. But that's our property, some of it. And some of the bad stuff, really. You can see all the brown. Of course, it was January. And what you're seeing, all the brown, is sedge grass, or broom sedge, they call around here. And it's the cows don't like it. Nobody wants to eat it. It's also a poverty grass, which means the soil is quite degraded. There's not a lot of nutrients in it, but it will hold the dirt in place. So while it looks like wheat and it's really pretty, it means that you have, poor
your
ground.
Your soil is acidic. The pH is too low, and it is nutrient poor.
Right.
The same thing happens with cedar trees. They're another in our area. The eastern red cedar will grow in those areas, as will persimmons. So for us, The broom sedge, the cedars, and the persimmons, which we have an abundance of all of those on our property, are all signs of degraded topsoil.
Yeah.
So what you're looking at in that picture is broom sedge and cedar trees. Are really the broom sedge is brown, the cedar trees are the green, and it's just a um, a, a visual of this isn't great soil.
Right. And so that's what we started with. And we said, well, we had some good pastures. We have some what they used to hay, and they're bottom around here. They call them bottom land because we're out in the hills. So some long, lower pastures that were quite lush. So we knew we had some good stuff, but we were going to really need to work on bringing the soil up so that it would actually grow some grass or something even other than grass that might even be better. And so we unroll the hay on it to help make it better. I think we have a picture of cows eating unrolled hay. Right?
This one?
Nope.
This one.
Yeah. Okay. And they stand around, and that is unrolled hay. And you can see we have rocks, right?
Well, that is the same pasture that you were looking at in the picture.
Yep.
So it was the one sort of middle of the screen, and the cows have eaten all of the grass off of it, and it is brown with the hay on top of it, with the cow patties is really what you're looking at there, and rocks.
And when we first bought it, not only was it the broom sedge, it was also a bunch of saplings. So we've done a lot of bush hogging and a lot of hay unrolling, and a lot of animals getting to live there.
Yeah, we have a few more comments and questions.
Oh, good.
So Jeannie says the county extension office in Nebraska teaches the farmer how to create several paddocks and how to rotate from one area to another. My neighbor moves his cattle around all the time.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. Come to find out, our property was our local extension office's showcase for how to do regenerative grazing. We didn't know that until this year, actually.
Yeah. I've been there a bunch of times. They used to use that farm to teach people how to set up the watering systems and the high tensile wire fences and rotationally graze before we bought it.
Yeah.
And I could see why. Totally.
Farmhand Huck says, does leaving brambles in your pastures help or hurt the regenerative process? I don't think it would do either, really. For us, we get the brambles out so that the grass can grow. We don't want the grass competing with the brambles for the sunlight, really. So through the wintertime, they will help some holding like snow or moisture in, but we would prefer to have that carbon from those plants down on the soil, actually, like touching the soil, so that it will start to degrade.
Biodegrade. Yeah.
And none of the animals like to eat the grass that's inside all of those thorny brambles. They're multiflora rose bushes. They're an invasive species that were brought over to be living hedges from England, and they go everywhere, and they get 15, 20 feet high and are like serious rosebush thorns. And then we also have blackberries and raspberries, which are very thorny as well.
And we let those live along the fence lines, but out in the pasture,
we take them out.
Yeah, or they get taken out.
And then Anna asks, do you go behind the cows as they rotate and mow down the weeds that they don't seed? So that they don't seed? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we do. And
especially in the height of the growth season, once they leave, once those weeds start coming up, especially, you're really going to see it in late May, June. Once the cows go out, he'll come behind with the bush hog and cut those down.
Typically, what we've been doing over the past few years, we end up mowing probably twice. One in late spring, right before summer, because that's when all of those weeds just explode. The cows have eaten the grass down, weeds explode. We'll go behind them and mow those weeds down. And then again, somewhere late fall, typically the grass has stopped growing. the weeds have grown back one more time, and we'll mow that back down, is what we've been doing. We have tried a couple of years to catch that broom sedge before it goes to seed. This year, the broom sedge didn't seed like it didn't do too much.
No.
Like this
is working.
This is working. The broom sedge is going away, and grass and clover is coming in.
It was like it was shorter. It didn't come to seed as fast at the normal rate that we had seen it in the past. So that just shows us that the whole thing is working.
Yeah. Homestead Jude says, just got here. Howdy. Hello. I think we answered your question at the beginning of this podcast, so you may want to go back and catch it. Carol, I want chickens, says, besides rolling out bales of hay for the cattle and needing water, what else is needed in those winter months when grass is not available?
Our cows, because they are grass-fed only, they get also loose salt, loose mineral, and protein tubs where they're kind of like molasses lick tubs. They're about 200 pounds. They're full of minerals and extra energy and mostly a little extra protein to help them continue to grow and get the most that they can out of the hay that they're eating.
And we have done off and on the protein tubs. We did them the first year. We didn't do them the next few years. We've got a couple of tubs out with the calves and steers, basically our feeder cow group. We have some lick tubs out. We don't have any tubs right now with our breeders. So the biggest thing is they need salt and mineral available always, fresh water always, and then really just hay.
Right.
Anna says, what you do is what I've heard is creating a sacrifice pasture. Do you harrow in the spring to spread the manure patties?
Last year we did what you call drag the pasture and hooked up a cedar tree to one of the side-by-sides and drug it around and busted up all of the manure and spread it out evenly and then allowed that pasture to rest. But the thing, it grew back really quickly. Yeah. I thought that it was going to be really lagging behind everything else, but I think there was so much fertilizer on it that it was happy to grow.
Yeah, and I think that's why we don't, like in our verbiage, we don't consider it a sacrifice pasture. A lot of times sacrifice pastures
are small and muddy.
They are very muddy, cows up to their knees in mud. And, you know, if anything grows back, it'll be like pigweed or something, like, you know, weed will grow until they go back to that same exact pasture the next year. But
if you're considering it like sacrificing the grass that you would have flushing in the spring, then probably yes, it would be the same type of concept. And we do tighten them up when it's time for the grass to start growing. And I guess that area is a grass sacrifice. But we're
to
not.
Your comment before, the growth was not stunted,
right,
compared to the rest of the pastures.
Yeah.
It really wasn't.
So yes, ish, yeah. But the results that we've gotten have just been phenomenal.
Yeah. Susie Q. Martin says, hello, late today. Wasn't it what they did in the 1930s during the Dust Bowl to conserve the ground by planting cedar trees everywhere which are not native to your area? I don't know. I believe that.
I would believe it. Yeah. But I don't know. I'll have to research that.
I know that it was poor soil management that got us to the Dust Bowl, and what we're doing would keep us from being there.
Yeah.
If everybody would do regenerative grazing
Yep.
instead of row cropping and plowing all the time.
Yeah. Stop.
Our topsoil would stop blowing away into the ocean, and we would actually put it back.
Mm-hmm. And hold moisture
and hold it. Yeah, replenish the aquifers.
Yeah.
And,
well, I mean, just the moisture in the ground. Thus, you don't get the dust.
Yeah.
If we could keep the grass, keep it covered with something.
Yep. Angels Homestead says, have you thought about doing a prescribed burn? We've talked about it. We've thought about it. So the answer to your question is yes. We have not done it.
No.
Our house is on this farm.
It just scares me. There's enough fires going on around here that I'm like, we did have fire come over on us I guess it would have been spring fire season. And that was like scary enough, even though it was just like right on the ground, that I'm just like,
The
nah.
Forestry Service has burned we butt up against Mark Twain National Forest, one of the areas of Mark Twain, and they have done a prescribed burn twice since we've been here. It's very nerve-wracking. I don't like it. There's smoke nearby, and when you have animals, I don't know. We've talked about it, we've thought about
Yeah,
it,
right.
and for right now I'm uncomfortable with it getting out of hand. So.
Okay, last question, then we'll get to the next section.
All right, Carol, I want chickens says, do you rotate your sheep?
Yes, we rotate
Sure
our
do.
sheep.
And as much as we can, we keep the flurd together.
Yeah.
We keep the sheep and cows together just because it's easier to rotate everything all at once. The sheep, we lock down nowadays, we lock down during lambing season. So we bring them up near the house because lambing season. We can do a whole talk on that. And so we take them out of the rotation during lambing season, and then really that's about it. We try to get them back out with the cows pretty much as quickly as we possibly can. And even when they're not with the cows, we rotate the sheep. The first year, we rotated the cows, the sheep, and the guardian dogs. Each got rotated every day for an entire year. And
So when we were younger.
yeah, whatever. The farmers get burned out with that kind of pace.
They do.
With 3 animal groups moving every day for an entire year. So we had to figure out a different way of doing things, and combining the sheep and the cows was one of the
But
ways.
doing it like that did 2 things. It allowed us to learn how to manage the animals and do that, and our property. It allowed us to learn what grass grows where, when is it going to recover, how many animals can it handle, how many animals can it not handle, but like, how weedy is it. We were on it every day.
All day.
And we really got to where we were being able to look and see and know. And now we can be a little bit more flexible with what we're doing, just based on the fact that we kind of understand a little bit more. We're not perfect by any means. We haven't been doing this our entire lives, but we have learned. That was a very intensive year for not only the animals, the land, but also for the humans.
Yeah.
In our education, learning how to do this.
So moving to the next section, we'll talk a little bit about our flow. The paddocks, I mentioned we have 9 different pastures. The paddock size, and in again, the words that we're using, the way we mean them, pastures are large areas with some type of, permanent fence around them. And we have a mixture of barbed wire and high tensile electric wire that make the edge fences around our pastures. We then take those pastures and break them into smaller segments, smaller areas that we just call paddocks. And we use plastic or fiberglass step-ins and poly braid, which is an electrified wire on a reel.
We have a picture, not the reel, but with the fence.
Which one?
Right there. Right
This
there.
one? Mm-hmm. There it is. So this is an example of a temporary fence. It's got 3 lines of poly braided wire and plastic step-ins, and this is an example of, we have segmented off a pasture into a paddock, and the sheep and the cows are in that paddock. So it allows us to, instead of having the cows on the flurd in this case on 10-12 acres, I think that pasture is actually 12 acres. Instead of having them on 12 acres, we narrow them down to maybe an acre, and then maybe an acre and a half. And then we'll take almost 2 weeks to move them through that 12-acre big area. And what that means is the first paddock, by the time we're done with that pasture, that first paddock has already had 12 days of rest.
Right.
And then through the 9 different pastures, we break them into paddocks. And throughout the summer grazing season this year, we had 30 to 32 paddocks out of those 9 pastures. So each area of grass had a month or more of rest before the animals came back.
Yep. Yeah, man, it was a good season. We got rain
Yeah.
all through June
And
and
then
July.
the different animals eat the grass differently also. The cows, they, bigger tongue, bigger lips, they rip and sort of leave it, and the cows will leave it longer. The sheep will eat, they're a more discriminatory grazer. They can, their lips and teeth allow them to get much closer. And a lot of cattle only grazers even call them range maggots. Like they
Yeah,
will
they
eat everything,
will.
right? So if you leave the sheep there too long, it will get all the way down to dirt. Now they don't eat down into the dirt. Like sometimes chickens will dig up the grass to get to the roots. Hogs will dig up the grass to get to the roots. The sheep will eat it down all the way down. So you have to be a little bit more careful as you are grazing the sheep, or allow the grass longer time to rest. And sometimes we'll leave the sheep on purpose a long time. It's called total grazing. We'll graze it all the way down. And that the first thing that grows back is grass.
Yeah.
And
it really pushes the weeds back.
It really pushes the weeds back when you do that.
Yeah. How much we allow a little over a month during the grazing season before, like when we're really tight grazing, what we will be able to allow a little over a month before we come back. Now, sometimes we need to give more space, and it might not get that much rest. It may only get 10 days, but if it's in the height of the season, it's okay. And so, again, how much rest time? As much as you can, really.
Yeah. And it depends.
And it depends. Yeah. So when do we start transitioning from, okay, we've been in like woohoo grazing, and now we're starting to notice that either A, we're getting into a drought, which we have a dry season in Missouri. August, September, it's probably not going to rain. It's not going to rain for almost a couple of months. And so we have to be able to manage the drought, and how much have we left behind so that they can eat during the drought? Or do we have to start supplementing with hay in the drought? And we just know that it's going to happen every single year.
Yeah.
Comes a little bit later or a little bit earlier, just depending on the weather patterns. But, when you're sitting in September and you're just kind of hoping that a tropical storm comes up from Louisiana, that's just where the weather comes from, but that's just what happens. But whenever the transition happens is when it starts cooling down at night. And when we see it cool down, we know that the grass is slowing down on growing, and we need to spread them out and kind of keep them moving or supplement them. And there's this little nature dance that we have to do with the transition from we've been summer grazing to it's fall now, and things are starting to change.
Yep. So as we do that, then we transition into our winter feeding, and we do a combination of bale unrolling, which we've talked about, and bale grazing, which is you take a bale of hay and put it inside a hay ring and allow the cows to stand around that ring and eat the hay. So here's a picture of a dairy. This is one of our jerseys, and a hay ring. That was a round bale of hay in the middle of that hay ring, and the cows will stand there and eat that hay. Both ways of doing it, either unrolling or bale grazing, have their pros and cons, benefits and drawbacks, and we use them for different things.
Right. And so it rather than just the bale being there in the ring and you just keep bringing it and bringing it, the point is you move the bale. So the ring gets moved.
Yep.
Each new bale. A lot of farmers or ranchers, especially if they have a lot of land out west and up north especially, they will set their bales for the winter. They will set them in their pastures and just not allow their cows to have access to them. They'll set them all out there, and then they graze them through the winter past the bales. We don't really have that kind of space, and sometimes we have them on a hill. So we don't leave our bales out like that. But instead, what we do is just move the rings. We have several now, and we just move them around and allow the cows' hooves and manure and the hay chaff from whenever when it moves on to sit there and flourish.
And that's one thing you can do is pick a specific spot that really needs help and drop a hay bale on that spot and put a ring around it and just watch what happens.
And it's going to look like crud for a while.
From the hay rings, it may take the second year before it actually looks good, but it will.
Oh, yeah. It will break down and it will grow beautiful grass and be quite fertile with time. And the unrolling it is a little gentler on the land and just kind of spreads it a little bit more evenly. I prefer that unless we're really intensively wanting to hit a pasture.
The cows seem to eat a bit more of the hay when it's in a hay ring. So your
waste
is less if you consider it waste.
Right.
We consider it regenerating the pastures and adding carbon when we unroll it. So one of the benefits of unrolling it is you spread that carbon out over a greater area. You're wasting hay though. Mm-hmm. And as you're spreading the hay out over the area, the seeds just fly everywhere.
Yeah.
So you're actually reseeding your pasture with the hay that you're putting down.
Yeah, we haven't seeded our pastures yet. A lot of times people will broadcast clover or they will broadcast orchard or fescue or whatever pasture grasses they're wanting, a winter rye they'll plant. But we have yet to do that just simply because we're experimenting these first number of years to see what kind of impact can we have with these more natural methods, I guess.
And there is what the experts call a historical seed bank. You know, the seeds are there for the prairie grasses that were here years and years ago. Mm-hmm. And what it needs is animal impact. So as the animals are impacting the ground, seeds start germinating.
They just start waking up.
Grasses start growing. And like we have clover popping up all over the place that we have never seeded. I mean, like it's very interesting to watch the process and the natural changes that happen when you start, I don't know, mimicking nature. You know, it just starts working.
So we're getting close on time.
Okay.
Show that little video. I did a reel and we'll pop it up there. It's about 1.5 minutes. You can watch.
All right.
I just got to take a quick second and make a short little video because this is one of the most impressive things to me about regenerative agriculture. The field that we're standing in right now was nothing but saplings and weeds and really nothing to speak of as far as grazing cows was concerned. But after 3 years of high impact with the cows, rotating them on a daily, regular, scheduled basis, the result that we have here is, while not perfect, pretty darn amazing. We have clover, we've got orchard grass, we've got fescue, multiple different types of things, forage for the cows to eat. And just looking at the amount of white clover and some red clover on these fields is truly amazing. And the really cool thing about clover is, number one, it's high in protein. Yes, we know you're ready for the cows. And because it is a legume, I guess, it will, it actually pulls the nitrogen up from the ground and brings it to the rest of the grasses to feed the rest of the grasses. And it's just absolutely phenomenal. And you can see there, Rich is walking with 2 things in his hands up the hill. Those are the reels. So we were actually cutting that pasture in half or a quarter or something. And that using those tools to rotate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that pasture, again, was the same one that you saw that was brown, full of broom sedge at the beginning.
And it has very little broom sedge in it. I
Yeah.
mean, comparatively, there's
And you could still
some.
see down in there, you could see that there's still some rocks.
Oh yeah,
You know, like we're certainly not saying that the pastures are now perfect.
right.
And there's still weeds and there's still some saplings that come up, but it is amazingly different.
Amazingly different.
Our neighbors stopped us one day, and they have cattle also that they graze, and they said we were looking over at your pasture, the same one that you just saw the other day, and commented that we never ever thought we would see grass growing on that pasture.
Yeah.
And they're like, what you guys have done is just amazing with that pasture.
Yep. And that's fun. You know, just seeing the genuine results of doing what nature does and participating in it, really. Do you have any other things that we wanted to talk about?
I think we've
think
showed
we've-
all of our pictures. We did
Yeah.
have a couple of more comments.
Oh, good. And I think we've kind of covered all of our notes.
So Jeannie says, have you ever put the chickens out in the pasture following the cattle to eat the bugs from the cow patties?
We want to. We do. But we have not followed them in that sense. That was our original dream and mindset of how we were going to do it. But because of our land being so uneven,
And quite steep in
and
places.
quite steep in places, we just knew that we could do it in the bottomlands, but we would have to have dogs down there all the time with them, and that was just going to add another layer that we just can't. So we do move our chickens. We have the Justin Rhodes chickshaws that we move them around with, and we need something that probably you can hook to a trailer. And we've talked about it a lot, but we could do it so that we can move them in the smaller areas where we keep them. But just because of the topography of our property, it was really not going to work.
Yeah.
It just wasn't.
We wanted to. That was our initial.
Yes.
We talked about it a bunch, how we were going to do it, and then when we got here, actually doing the thing, the chickens we have not figured out how to do yet.
No.
It would add so much to try to do that. Like the places where we could actually do it are also the places where our predator pressure is the highest.
Right.
So that's why Shell says we would have to have dogs down there. But the dogs also eat the chickens. So it's like you'd have to have the dogs down there, but separated from the chickens, and the chickens separated from the predators. And it was just, we haven't figured it out yet.
So with this property, no. Although when you have flatter areas, 1,000% people should do
love
that.
it. Angels Homestead says, I don't see wasting hay. I see adding to the health of your land.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So do we. Carol says, wow, that video is amazing. You've done a great job so far, and I love seeing the progress.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah,
then-
it's been a journey.
Yeah.
It really has.
And Homestead Jude says, do the cows and sheep prefer different forage, have different parasites?
Good question. That was part of our notes. We weren't sure how far to dive into that. Yes, they do prefer a little bit different forage. Sheep are grazers.
Yeah.
People think that they're browsers like goats, but really they are more like a 60% grass grazer.
Maybe even 80.
They will eat some of the briars and the brambles and take care of things like that. They will eat some weedier stuff that cattle will kind of walk past. But all in all, they kind of eat the same things. In our sheep, we have Katahdins, and they kind of eat the same thing as the cows. They do have different parasites. The sheep get the barber pole worms and liver fluke worms and
all the other
kind of worms.
But they are different.
But they are different. And cattle do get worms as well, but they're different than the sheep. So if you have sheep and cows and they are rotating around the same properties, the idea is that when the sheep eats the parasite larvae for the cow, it's a dead end. So it has been consumed, but it can't grow. And the same with the cattle. The cattle eat larvae from what would attack sheep, and it's a dead end cycle. So if you have both and you're grazing both, your parasite pressure should theoretically be less. Yes, to answer your question. All animals get parasites. All of them. I mean, if we went out and we licked the dirt, we would need to be dewormed with the sheep and dogs. But ivermectin for everyone, you know, but because we don't suffer that, but they do. So they all do get parasites. It's just a matter of, can that animal live and can their immune system maintain with a certain parasite load? Can they live that way? And so that's what the real goal is having animals who can live with a certain amount of parasites. Some do, some don't. The strong survive.
Yep.
Cull if they don't, or sometimes they cull themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sheep like to cull themselves.
Yep. Firefox Kitty says, thank you. That was very interesting.
Thank you.
Jeannie says, sheep are picky about what they will eat.
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are.
Patty says, I built up the raised bed soil in Georgia red clay by putting a static chicken tractor the size of the raised garden bed and let the chickens and hay and other stuff make the soil.
Yes, we did that. We put, for 3 years in a row, we put our chickens in our garden over winter to allow our chickens to do what chickens do in the garden, whole garden area. And it was phenomenal.
And we would add the
cow manure,
the muck basically from the dairy barn area with the cow manure and the hay or straw that we put down in the dairy barn area. We would add that to the garden every year also with the chickens. And so then the chickens would spread that all out and eat whatever was in it and spread it out. And like that, I think, is how we've gotten our garden soil to be as fertile as it is.
Hey,
what?
We're over time. The hour flies by really fast, doesn't it? Hey, man, this was a fun conversation. I hope it was, interesting at most, and helpful at best, for you guys, or at least. Yeah. And hey, we look forward to seeing you guys next week on Monday night. And I hope that you have a wonderful week.
Have a great week, everybody.
And until next time, bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you.